sift through all you news of importance from the Most High's perspective. As watchmen, we are here both to warn of dangers and give biblical answers for dwelling in the secret place of the Most High during these times of confusion. Tell your family and friends to like, share, and subscribe as we delve into what Yahweh has for us, the apple of his eye. Let's get to work. Say Shabbat Shalom to everyone. We're going to continue with our study. The theme that we're operating under is Build a Righteous Nation using Yah's blueprint, or using the Most High's blueprint. So as we continue with our study, we're going to do a quick review, but as always, as we begin with the scriptures that guide our study in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, which says, "Study to show yourselves approved unto the Most High, workmen who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." And 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, which instructs us that all scripture is God-breathed and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the person of the Most High may be complete, thoroughly furnished unto every good work. So we're going to be looking specifically at 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and we're going to be reading that first. We're reading from the Bible Hub website, and we're going to be reading from the Berean Standard Bible translation. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 12. "Now about spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not want you to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, you were influenced and led astray to mute idols. Therefore, I inform you that no one who is speaking by the Spirit of Yahuwah says, Yeshua be cursed. And no one can say Yeshua is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. There are different gifts, but the same Spirit, or the same Ruach. There are different ministries, but the same Master. There are different ways of working, but the same Elohim works all things in all people. Now, to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one, there is given through the Spirit the message of wisdom. To another, the message of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by that one Spirit. To another, the working of miracles. To another, prophecy. To another, distinguishing between spirits. To another, speaking in various tongues. And to still another, the interpretation of tongues. All these are the work of one and the same Spirit, who apportions them to each one as he determines." Verse 12, "The body is a unit, though it is composed of many parts. And although its parts are many, they all form one body. So it is with Messiah. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slave or free, and we were all given one Spirit to drink. For the body does not consist of one part, but of many. If the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, Yahuwah has arranged the members of the body, every one of them according to his design. If they were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I do not need you, nor can the head say to the feet, I do not need you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and the parts we consider less honorable we treat with great honor, and our unpresentable parts are treated with special modesty, whereas our presentable parts have no such need. But Yahweh has composed the body and has given greater honor to the parts that lacked it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its members should have mutual concern for one another. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. Now you are the body of Messiah, and each of you is a member of it. And in the church, Yahuwah has appointed first of all apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then workers of miracles, and those with gifts of healing, helping, administration, and various tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work miracles? Do all have gifts of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret? But eagerly desire the greater gifts, and now I will show you the most excellent way. And then it goes into 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter, the more excellent way. But we're going to spend our time on 1 Corinthians chapter 12. As a quick review, we are under the theme, Build a Righteous Nation Again, using Yah's blueprint. So we're coming to the end of the second quarter. In the first quarter, we talked about the gospel. We talked about finding your tribe. We talked about the national identity. In the second quarter, we talk about how to choose your leaders wisely, what to look for in a godly leader. And then we're finishing the quarter with institutions to build. So that's where we'll pick it up. Last time, let's just do a quick review. Last time we looked at each one of the 12 tribes and their purpose in the nation that the Most High created, called Yasharel, or Israel. We looked specifically at the tribe of Judah, because it was the tribe of Judah that brought forth the Messiah, Mashiach, who we call Jesus Christ in the English, and who they called in Hebrew Yeshua or Yeshua. So he's the shoulders that the government of the kingdom rest on. His shoulders that government rest. So we talked about the rest of the 11 tribes, but we wanted to focus on the fact that in the Most High's kingdom, there is this city. And the children of Yasharel are represented in a major way in that city. That's why we keep saying the Most High absolutely is not through with Israel or Yasharel. He is going to be using, as his intent always was from the beginning of the nation, he's going to be using Yasharel in these last times. So we asked the question last time, who and where is Judah in 2023? And the suggestion was to follow the migration pattern, and we would be able to see where Judah is. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 12 told us that Judah, because of its rebellious nature and its idolatry, Judah was scattered to the four corners of the earth. Judah is still scattered to the four corners of the earth, but one of the places that Judah is living currently is in Babylon. Now, Babylon in scripture starts in Genesis, but is also mentioned in Revelation. That's not a geographical location. That's why it's called in the book of Revelation, Mystery Babylon. That we are presenting to be North America, Brazil, India, Africa, the UK. Those are all places that one would be able to find the children of Yehuda, or the Yahudim, or the bloodline descendants of Judah. There's also a name that goes along with that tribe, and We're suggesting that if you look at who the Negro is, you're going to find lots of um, parallels, if nothing else. Okay, so we're going to go on. And we also talked about how everything eventually leads to Revelation, the last chapter in Revelation, that talks about the New Jerusalem that actually comes down out of heaven. And we talked in some detail about how the dimensions of the New Jerusalem were much too big for what we would call the Middle East, but that they do fit and on the continent of Africa. But just to remind ourselves, the New Jerusalem is 1,500 miles long, wide, and high, with very thick walls. Has a foundation of 12 stones. In the foundation, there are 12 stones, and there are 12 gates with 12 angels, and each one of those angels represents one of the 12 tribes of Yasharel. That's how we know that the Most High is not finished with his people. Okay, so this New Jerusalem that comes down from heaven, we talked about as well. Those who wrote the scriptures, they understood that the gods, first of all, they understood that they lived among other nations, and most of those nations had their own gods. They had their own objects of worship, but a lot of them had many things in common. One of the things that they had in common is that they knew that human beings lived on a lower level and the gods lived on a higher level, which would make the mountains the place that the gods resided. So when John saw the New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven, he actually did see the New Jerusalem coming down on the level of mountains. And one of the other things about the gods is that they always had the best geographical locations, and that's what a garden would be. The gardens are restful places, they're peaceful places, there's plenty of water, there's plenty of food, because the gods get everything, right? So when the Most High placed the man and the woman in a garden, that culture understood that phenomenon. Okay, so the New Jerusalem talked about in Revelation chapter 21 is like that. Okay, it's on a high mountain. It comes down out of the Most High dwelling place, which is in the heavens. But that's the wall that's high. It has the 12 foundation stones, and that city is 4 square. So we talked about all of that. But between where we are now and Revelation chapter 21, there are many things that still need to happen. And one of those things is that the Most High's people have been told to rebuild based on the specifications of the word of the Most High, which is why we're studying this. So we are rebuilding what the Most High wants us to rebuild so that we will be ready when the New Jerusalem comes. We're not rebuilding bricks and mortar. We're rebuilding ourselves. And so that's why we keep our focus on the Spirit directing what we should know in these last days. Okay, so here's what the Spirit showed me in meditation on what had already been given. I said that we need to rebuild institutions. The Spirit reminded me that the Most High's kingdom doesn't need institutions. Institutions are for men, okay? And institutions are man-made, and those institutions may serve service and serve a purpose for man, but the Most High's kingdom is different. So the institutions are man-made, but the kingdom on earth is made for man. That's the difference. Okay, so we don't really need to rebuild any institutions. So that we're not looking at rebuilding a legislative body. We're not looking at rebuilding an infrastructure for cars, planes and trains. We're looking at rebuilding the people of the Most High, and that has to do with relationships. If the relationships are reestablished, or when the relationships are reestablished, that allows us to be in a place and a position to receive the kingdom when the New Jerusalem comes down out of heaven. So we are to be building those relationships, because that's what the New Jerusalem is made of. It's made of relationships. It's described in ways of precious stones, of light, and all of those descriptors are accurate for what we need, but they're really talking about the eternal relationship that we have with our Creator and with one another. Okay, so in that relationship, Yahuwah is one body. That's where Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 comes in. That once again is the Shema. Hear, O Yasharel, Yahuwah, your creator, is one, and you shall love Yahuwah with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. That's where that comes from. In John chapter 10, verse 30, Jesus says, I and the Father are one. Okay. And we're going to be reading, or we're going to be going back to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, which talks about the need for oneness in the body. Okay. So that body that the scriptures talk about in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 is a relationship. And that relationship is the same relationship that the Most High, from the outset of the nation, wanted for his people to have with him, because that relationship is the relationship that the Father and the Son have. Okay. And they make up the body that is one. So children of Yasharel and those who are a part of the kingdom also have this same unction and this same word of encouragement to be that. So we see ourselves as part of the body, as different parts of the body, just as First Peter said that we are living stones built up a spiritual house. The spiritual house and the body of the Most High are the same thing, just different ways of explaining it. Okay, so in this body, the Most High set some in the church, and we're going to be talking about that. Apostles, prophets, teachers, miracles, gifts of healing, all of those things. The kingdom of the Most High addresses all of the needs of the subjects of the kingdom via those various administrations of his spirit. It addresses all the needs of the subject spiritually, physically, financially, relationship wise, culturally, whatever the needs of the society are. The kingdom of Yah has already been established and will meet each one of those needs. For what purpose? The purpose of the kingdom of Yah, the kingdom of Yahuwah, is the same that was given to the man and the woman in the garden. The purpose is to be fruitful, to multiply, and replenish the earth. However, this time the earth is being replenished with good seed, and the seed that is of the wicked one is not going to be that which rules and controls the earth as it is right now. The seed of the serpent is controlling the earth for those who are not a part of the kingdom. There are those who are part of the kingdom, and the serpent seed is not ruling over us. Okay. But our purpose is the same purpose as it was from the very beginning. It's the same purpose that Israel was given. Israel was to be that point of contact in a spiritual sense, not just a geographic sense, but in a spiritual sense, so that the surrounding nations would see the true nature of the kingdom and the king. That's Israel's purpose. Okay. That's why Israel is the apple of the eye of the Most High. Israel is who we're supposed to be able to see the Most High through. Okay. So that's the purpose of the kingdom that is to come. This is why we are here, to grow, to reproduce, to replenish the earth with the good seed that comes from heaven. So then that gets us back to what we just read in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. I am assuming that if you're listening to this presentation, you have heard on numerous occasions that what we know as the church is not what the Most High had in mind. The church is not a religious organization, although that's what it has devolved into. The church is a living organism. That's what reproduces itself. And when I say the church now, I'm going to go back to Yasharel, because that's who Israel, Yasharel, was supposed to be from the outset of the nation. They were supposed to be, our ancestors were supposed to be the light of the world, the city set on a hill. In other words, everyone was supposed to be able to glorify the Most High by watching Israel, by watching Yasharel, not in its physical location per se, but in its actions as a nation. But because Israel didn't do that, meant that the needs that Israel was supposed to supply, human beings began to make up their own versions of supplying those needs. That's where institutions came from. The institutions were dealing with various aspects of a bifurcated existence that the Most High never ordained. That happened because of sin and rebellion. And that's why the Most High was telling me, no, my people don't need any institutions. What they need is a manifestation of the administration and the operation of my spirit on the earth. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, that's what it's talking about. So he says, the apostle Paul or Shaul says, that there are diversities of operation in the body of the Most High, but they are distributed by the same Elohim, or by the same God. In other words, all the things that are necessary for the kingdom to operate and all of the functions of the kingdom have already been established from heaven. And so it's the Most High that gives that information to the people who have come into the kingdom. And one of the first things that we read is that we all came into the kingdom the same way. We were all baptized into the faith. If you have not been baptized into the faith, you're not in the kingdom. And that's part of the problem. That's the beginning. So once we all have come in through the same door. Remember, Jesus said, I am the door. Okay. Once we come in through the same door, we are then given our assignments and given our gifts, if you will. So some have been gifted with the word of wisdom. Some have been gifted with the word of knowledge. Some have the word of faith. Some have the working of healing. Some have the working of miracles. Some are the prophets. Some are able to discern the spirits, or in other words, the essence of the human beings that are a part of this body. And some have the job of understanding that we all come from different places and we all have different languages, and it's their job to interpret that so that we can all speak the same thing and hear the same thing. These are the areas of function in the Most High's kingdom. These have little to nothing to do with Sunday go to meeting. This is how people are living every day. And everybody understands the Shema. Everybody understands that the thing that motivates all of this is our love for our Creator. And it's that love that has been manifested and continues to manifest itself in these things that we just mentioned: wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, discerning of spirits, and interpretation of tongues. So, what is all of that for? It's for the perfecting of the saints. Now, these are examples of what a kingdom looks like. And when you start going into a greater understanding of how each one of these attributes fit, or each one of these gifts fit, well, first of all, let me go back here, okay, to this. So all of that is to take care of the needs of the individual. See, when the Most High established Israel, he established this relationship, first of all, with an individual. But he didn't keep the relationship with the individual, because the individual's job was to make it known to the collective. Okay, so that means that whatever your need is, there is someone or some protocol in the kingdom itself that will meet your need, because you cannot function correctly in the kingdom if your needs are not being met. First, your individual needs are met, and we all know that our first need is to get saved. Saved from what? Saved from destruction, saved from a life that is unproductive, saved from an eternal situation that we don't want to spend eternity in, saved in the sense of being healed and being able to walk in divine health. All that is implied in salvation. All right. So those individual needs then help us to function as a society. So in doing that, the Most High has set up apostles, those who were sent to establish the parameters of the kingdom. That's why the doctrine is called the doctrine of the apostles, is the foundation of the faith. It's the apostles who bring that foundation. Then there are prophets who exhort the people to follow what the apostles have been given from heaven to give to the Most High's people. And then there are teachers on hand to break down into digestible parts what each one of these principles and precepts actually mean to the individual, to the individual's family, and how that fits in with the larger society. Then you have those who have been given power. These are all gifts, by the way. Then you have those who have been given power to work miracles. In other words, the word miracle is the same Greek word that is the root word for dynamite. That's, in other words, there's power in what those who have been given that gift have. And so it's not only the power to bring healing, but it's also the power to empower those who have been given a specific mission. So that working of miracles is different from healing, because healing has to do specifically or overwhelmingly with healthcare. So the Most High's kingdom, in the Most High's kingdom, the people are supposed to be healthy. So those who have the gift of healing are also going to tell you how to eat. They're going to tell you how much exercise is profitable. Those kinds of things. We think healing all has to do with, in the name of Jesus, cancer go away, and that is all a part of it too. But it's a smaller part of it. The idea is the Most High's people should be healthy. Okay, and so that's now those who have the gift of miracles may end up healing people, but the gift of miracles is much more broad than just healing. And then those who help are the ones who put the precepts into practical use. After the apostles have laid the foundation, after the prophets are exhorting the people to do what the Most High says, after the teachers break it down as to what that means, then you have those who actually on a daily basis put those precepts into practical use. That's what the gift of helps, the gift of governments, and see where that is down in the list, by the way. The gift of governments are those who steer all of that effort, because you need somebody flying the plane. Trust and believe that the plane doesn't belong to those who are flying it. The plane belongs to the company that owns the plane. And who is that? That's the Most High. But governments are very important. Those who, and again, those are giftings. All right. And then again, we found out that the diversity of tongues, those familiar with with different languages that people bring to this kingdom enterprise, those people are the ones that can navigate all of that. So I'm speaking in the way that the scriptures describe these giftings and the purpose for those giftings. As we already know in First Corinthians, there are also people who speak in tongues. But if you read what that says, it says when you do that among the body, it would be much better if you prophesied. Okay, because if you're speaking in tongues, that's between you and the Most High, which may edify you, but it's not doing anything for everybody else who's around you, unless you can tell them what you were saying. Okay, that's the interpretation piece. So if you can't do that, then when you speak in tongues, do that somewhere else, basically. Okay, so that's how the individual's needs are taken care of. And if you carefully look at each one of these things in aggregation, what you find is that you will have a society that is fully functional. It's going to be healthy. It's going to be wealthy. It's going to be stable, because these things affect every aspect of a human being's life, which was the purpose of the kingdom anyway. Please understand that the kingdom of the Most High has to come down from heaven to earth, because earth didn't want it. Okay, so we that are a part of the second Adam, if you will, talking about Yeshua, we who are a part of the second Adam know that our purpose is to let others know there is life available to you. You do not have to live a ratchet life. You do not have to be continually oppressed by people who hate your guts. Rather than expending all of your time and energy trying to make Satan's children like you, the Most High is saying, I already have a kingdom. It's better than theirs. Follow me and you will live and prosper. That is manifested finally when the New Jerusalem comes down, just like we had seen in this slide. So that's what we had for this lesson on this Shabbat. Father, bless you and keep you. Father, make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Father, lift up his countenance upon you and give